Welcome to this episode where we are going to look at a very interesting and realistic topic. So, we are going to see how values can be distributed both at row level as well as column level within the same report. So, the structure of the report is very simple. We've got product family names and channel names in the row dimension. We've got quarter scales in the columns, and we've got one DAX measure called 2024 units actuals. Let's slide this in. Now let's do some hygiene changes. We'll bring the grand total on the left for columns, and we're going to quickly change the scales to auto. Now let's create a data input measure, copying it from the existing native measure. Let's call this 2025 units plan. Now let's bump up the units by some value. So let's have 1 million as my 2025 units plan. Now let's hide the native measure. Now, we've seen how grand total values can be distributed across columns as well as rows. But very interestingly, what if you want to distribute the row values? Let's say that I want this distributor value to be spread equally to e-commerce and institution of electronics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside Q1, which is my column hierarchy, the last column hierarchy. That means I do not have any other hierarchy within quarter as we saw in the structure. Now what I can do is I can click this and I can say copy until last row in electronics. So the same value is spread, or I would say copied across e-commerce as well as institution. Now let's say I want to use the weights of Q4. I'm going to click on electronics, which is my parent hierarchy in row, and you see the direction of the simulator, or let's say the distribution icon or allocation icon, is also different than what we have in the grand total. In the grand total, the distribution happens vertically as well as horizontally, whereas in Q1, which is my column scale, it is happening only horizontally. So now I'm going to click this and I'll say copy until last column. So that's how we do it. And secondly, if I want to choose the weight of a specific quarter, I can click this and I can say use and distribute column of quarter three and from the weights of this measure. So the weights of quarter three for this measure will be used to distribute this value. So let's do that. Now you see that since the values are same, the distribution also happens appropriately. But if I change this, it will still follow the distribution rule. So let's do 100K here. And you will see that the weights of this specific quarter is still respected. So that's your row level as well as column level distribution. Beyond this, you can also find, as soon as I go to the next level of hierarchy, I would see that I have got a copy to all rows option, and I've got also a copy until last column option, even at row level. So that's the row level and column level distributions that we have. Now, what if I have another hierarchy or scale added inside my columns? So let's say we want to spread this value by months as well. So naturally, we will have to add the month scale in our columns. But before we do it, as a best practice, let's click this measure and say reset the values. It'll completely remove all the values. And now we will have to bring the month scales. We'll go to the date dim, bring the month and place it just beneath quarter scales. Now you would see that I can spread the values and drill it down further by months. So let's have a grand total of 1 million again, and it is equally distributed. No worries, we've got the option to distribute it by the weights of 2024 units actuals. And now if I stay on quarter, quarter is treated as an aggregate column, so it will not give me the option to distribute it horizontally. But when I drill this down to a specific month, I'll have a new icon which is giving me copying until the last row in electronics. for this specific parent hierarchy in row, copy across all rows. I've got copy until last column also. So let's do that. I'll copy this value to the last column. I'll copy this value to institution, and I'll actually now also copy it with some kind of a trend in the last column. So it's a 5% trend, which is moving the value from this specific month throughout all the periods in this year, which is up till December. See you in the next video.